All right, today I want to talk to you about realistic day game odds because a lot of you guys have completely unrealistic expectations about what you can achieve with day game, and you're living in fantasy worlds. So I've taught hundreds of students how to pick up women in the daytime, and when I tell them something like if you want to get laid from day game, you need to approach close to 50 or 100 women at least. And so many guys get flustered by this. They think that's unreasonable. I can't believe that. That's not true. I know this guy. He's pickup guru number 65 and he scores 9 out of 10 chicks. So I want to give you guys realistic expectations. If you look at any industry, in the world where sales is involved, a 2% close rate is considered very good. So if you're someone who sells stereos, for example, and out of every 50 customers that come into the store asking about a stereo, and you might only get 5 or 10 a day, asking about a high-end stereo, if you sell one stereo to one of those 50 people coming into the store, then you would have a 2% close rate. And it goes across every industry. If you have to make 50 cold calls trying to sell some insurance and you sell 1 out of 50 cold calls, you're going to be considered a very good salesman. So why is it when I tell guys that if you approach 50 women and you get a date and sleep with one of them, that's way too much work, that's unreasonable, that's crazy, I can't believe that. It's pretty basic math. I could easily do 5, 10, or 15 approaches in a day if I lived in a city. And on boot camps, I do that. I take guys out and we do 5, 10, 15, sometimes 20 approaches a day. And we do that over about 4 hours. And a lot of that time is me lecturing them. But imagine if you went out today, if you lived in a city, and you said, I'm going to stay here and day game for 2 hours. And you're not going on instant dates. You're just maybe spending 5 minutes on every approach, getting a phone number, and then trying to text her later to set up a date. How many could you do in 2 hours? 5? 10? Let's say you did 5. In 9 days, I had to do the math there. In 9 days, you would have done 50 approaches if you went out and you did 5 every single day. Now, 2% is a good close rate. But if you were like a real professional, a guru, if you closed 7%, you would be considered one of the top closers in any industry. A 7% close rate on cold calls or cold approaches is incredible. If you're a newbie and you have approach anxiety, you don't know what to say and stuff like that, you might be thinking, I have so much approach anxiety. How could I ever do 50 approaches? I'm not even going to get 2%. By you approaching 50 women, you're going to achieve more than just getting laid. You're going to radically transform your entire mindset, belief system, and personality. Plus, you're developing a skill because cold approaching is a skill. It's a skill that you need to practice in order to get good at. And so by approaching 50 women, even if you don't get laid, you're still going to be developing that skill so that your percentages will go up over time as you become more masterful at talking, opening, transitioning, telling stories, cold reading, teasing, escalating, physically escalating, emotionally, doing all of these different techniques, eliciting values. There's a lot involved in verbal game. And right now, if you're just thinking 50 is way too much, you have the absolute wrong mindset. I want this number to be inspiring. Because if you say you've done 10 approaches and you're logging every single approach you do on a piece of paper or on your phone, taking notes, if you did that, if you just went out and you did 8 approaches and you got rejected 8 times and you didn't track it, you might think that's a horrible day. I'm terrible at this. I'm never going to get a girlfriend. I'm never going to get laid. I suck at day game. But if you're thinking in terms of the long term for an arbitrary number like 50, if you do 10 approaches and you don't get any numbers over, say, 2 days, you try for an hour one day and an hour the next day, all you have to do is look forward to the future because that 50th approach is coming up. You see the bright side. If you believe that within 50 tries, you will pull. You will get a girl. Then you don't need to beat yourself up if you have 2 or 3 approaches that don't turn out well, as long as you did your best. And as you go down this road and say you've done 50, 100, 200, in a year you could easily do 3, 4, 500 tries. Now guys call this, modern marketers, they're calling this spam approaching, or they're saying it's beta male behavior to approach all these women. It's chasing women. It's absolute nonsense. It's nonsense. There's nothing you can do that's more masculine than learning how to approach women, especially in the daytime. It's fantastic. It's something you should be super proud of. You should be super proud that you have the balls to go up to a woman, compliment her, talk to her for a few minutes, get her phone number, or go on a date with her right on the spot. What's more masculine than that? You're the spear, she's the target. So these guys that say this is beta male chasing behavior, putting the girl on the pedestal, they're just making their own excuses because they don't have the guts to go and do that themselves. Very, very few people do. I know a lot of top dating coaches, pickup artists, whatever you want to call them, and I can tell you the one characteristic they all have in common. They are all able to get rejected more in one day than most guys can do in a year. They play the numbers game. They play the numbers game hard, because in any sales funnel, the more leads you have, the more sales you're going to make. Let me repeat that. The more leads that you have, the more sales you're going to make. And pickup is just a sales process. You're the product. You need to get in front of more women. The more women that you go up and introduce your product to yourself, the higher the chances you have of closing. And a 2% close rate is very good. So that's 1 in 50. And 50 approaches, you can do that in 2 days if you're really hardcore, but give yourself a week. In 1 week, in 7 days, you could easily do 50 approaches. It's not hard. Emotionally, it's hard. But intellectually, it's very easy, especially if you just go direct. You just walk up to a girl, you see her at the mall, at the park, wherever. Hey, I just noticed you. I thought you were cute. I had to meet you. I'm Tony. Oh, I have a boyfriend. Oh, how long you been in a relationship for? You stay, you talk for another minute, and then try again. If maybe she's not telling the truth. Maybe it was auto rejection. You find out, no, she actually does have a boyfriend. No problem. I'll see you later. You walk away. There's 2 minutes of your day. 2 minutes. How many more times could you do that in a major city in a day? Easily. If you don't hook one right off the bat and go on a date with her, you could do that 10 or 15 times in an hour. Where's the next girl? Where's 2 girls? Hey, you girls are both really cute. I had to meet this one. You talk for a few minutes. That's where verbal game comes in. If you want to learn how to talk to women, you should get one of my free courses, Conversation Genius. I'll put the link to the school group below where you can sign up for my community and get a free 2-hour-long conversation course so that you know what to say. Anyway, you talk to her, you get a date, or no, she says, sorry, I'm not interested. Okay, there was 5 minutes gone. But you learned so much. You've already spent 7 minutes talking to hot women. Beautiful women that you would never meet on Tinder. You would never meet at the bar because there would be too many people blocking you from meeting her. You know, the fat friend pulling her away. In day game, there's nothing stopping you from trying again and again and again. You can do 10 in a day. And then, in 5 days, you're getting laid with a hot girl. That's how the guys that are good at it do it. They play the numbers game, and it doesn't bother them to talk to 10 women in a day. It's fun. Because we don't have approach anxiety. We dealt with that. We dealt with it. It doesn't take long to get rid of the approach anxiety. And we just think about the statistics, the odds. Like a salesman. We got to talk to more women. That's all there is to it. If you're not getting laid and you've got the fundamentals down, it's because you're not approaching enough women. It's not a spam approach. It's called getting more leads. Finding more qualified leads. Finding the girls who are looking to meet a guy. Who are looking to meet a guy like you. So I hope that you don't find this discouraging that you have to approach 50 or 100 women. If women just gave up their pussies to every guy that talked to them, the world would be overrun with inbred dummies. We don't want that. They have to be selective. They can't sleep with everybody. But you got to find the woman who's willing. She's free. She's single. She's in a romantic mood. She's ready for some adventure. And then you come along and approach her. Someone has to approach her. Women aren't approaching men. It happens so rarely. It's like seeing a monarch butterfly in the Antarctic. It's not normal. It's not the way God intended it for women to approach men. Unless you're famous. Even then, they don't know how to approach a famous guy. They're too nervous. You have to approach them. And if you're not willing to do 50 approaches, even in a week, forget about it. Just give up. Cold approach pickup is not for you. You're not going to succeed. But if you do want to succeed and learn how to pick up women, there's nothing to stop you from spending a week or a month to approach 50 women. It's so easy once you get the hang of it. And then you're going to start getting results. It's just a numbers game. That's all you need to know. If you add a little bit of skill into that, you're going to get better and better and better at it. The next thing you know, you have your dream girl. You have the dream girl that you were always afraid to approach, but because you approached 50, 100, 200, 1,000, when you see her, you're ready. You know what to do. It's not a big deal, and you go do it. So I hope this inspires you. Get out there and track your approaches. Keep a notepad or a voice memo on your phone. 1, 2, 3, 4. Every time you do an approach, make a memo. And track it. And you'll see, man, I'll tell you, you're going to get 2%. Adios.